Hi there, and welcome to episode 17 of the Power of Practice podcast, an interview with Marissa Sireesorn.
Welcome to the Power of Practice podcast with Matthew Tweedy. Discover how to leverage the potential of your unconscious mind so you can create an abundant and empowered existence. Here's your host, Matthew Tweedy.
Hi Marissa, and thanks so much for joining me here today.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be here today. Thank you very much.
Marissa, you haven't always been in the NLP and hypnosis world. So before we get into that side of things, tell me all about your story and how you arrived here where you are right now.
Sure, definitely. It's my favorite story. It's the story I would love to tell the most. I've been in training since I was like 15, but never actually known anything about NLP at all until I graduated in law, and then my master's degree with it was actually in Australia, and I had it in accounting. Then that's when I realized, yeah, exactly. It's a safe zone. It's like everybody would be safe. If you study law, if you study accounting, you are safe. So yeah, that's how I started off. And then I realized that I don't really enjoy working with papers or working with computers or numbers. And then I worked as an in-house trainer for Fairfax Media. That was in Australia as well. That was when I actually realized that I really love picking people's brains. I love seeing how they react to things, see how they create their own successes or failures in their own lives and remodel that and talk about how they do that, and also leading conversations on that's what inspires me the most. That was when I found NLP. And yeah, that was the beginning of the journey. I think everybody has their own unique way of thoughts and as well as how they use their own language. That's very interesting. And that's actually the beginning of everything. And I started to notice the difference because I actually started my NLP journey in English, and now I'm teaching in Thai. So that was the fun part of it, when you try to match over and try to copy the language over and it doesn't work.
A lot of experimentation, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was a lot of work, but it was so fascinating. It was just like, it's like we're programmed in our own language that if we use a different language, it doesn't work.
No direct translation per se.
No, not at all. NLP is so different. I know you're in love with NLP as much as I am. And when you use the effect of NLP is not the effect of the normal language. It's not just the automated, I'm telling you a story, but it actually creates something in the person that's listening to you, in their mind, in their vision of their future and their possibilities. So when it's translated into a different language, it's completely different. It's like we're not even talking Thai or English anymore. But that's what got me started. And
when you started to notice the differences, what was going through your head at that time?
I think the first effect was, oh my God, I'm going crazy.
There you were realizing those major differences between the translation. And when you did notice those differences, walk me through what was going through your mind at that time.
Actually, it was not anything close to challenge at all. It was just like, I actually felt that I just dropped myself through a big, huge hole that I really don't know what to do. And I was literally going crazy. I really wanted to deliver NLP, but also in the effect that it can affect people in their languages, the language that they use daily. Because when we talk to ourselves in the mirror, we have our own language. And sometimes it's not even proper language at all. It's not even grammatically correct. It's our own language, but that's the language that affects our minds the most, and it affects how we succeed or fail in our lives as well. So I had to put everything together, start talking to people, and realizing that even my own Thai is different from others. So it's not just about the language itself. It's not about the grammar itself. It's also about how you use the language and the attitude and everything behind language. That was the most interesting part on my journey. And it was actually what shifted my life. It was when I realized that I have my own set of language, and therefore, if I want NLP to work with me, it's a different story as well. It's unique to everybody. Yeah, it was exciting. I think it got my Thai NLP career started. Let me go back in time.
Mm-hmm.
That time I learned in English, but I was still in Thailand. So I learned it. My first off NLP course was in Thailand. And while I was listening to the English trainer, I was listening to the translation as well, and it didn't match. That was when I first thought that, hey, I can do a better job. This is not my language. And I was like, I'm going to use it with me. I'm going to use it in my own language. Then I started off like a study group with my peer students, and we started translating things into our own context and our own contents that we would be able to use it in our way. For example, just to make the picture clearer, it's like we don't have the word I see or I hear you in Thai. That was when I realized that, wow, like English has like over 100,000 words, when in Thai we only have not even 50,000 words. So that was the beginning of translation. So I translated almost all of the material, all of the processes that we can use to re-engineer our minds so that we're very goal-driven, result-driven, and we can create anything in our own lives. And that was the beginning of my first training that I delivered as well.
When was that first training you delivered?
My first fun training, I wasn't trained as a trainer back then, but it was in 2016. And my first official certification training was in 2018. That was like 2 years apart.
Yeah. Huge growth spurt in a short amount of time. It's actually really impressive.
Thank you very much. It's been like, if I'm not literally saying the years out loud now, I wouldn't know.
I'm hearing on some level that safe path that you're taking before, that wasn't your story, your passion as such. It was kind of a path that on some level was laid out for you in comparison to now. Is that fair to say?
Yes, exactly. I believe that everybody would bump into walls once in a while in their lives. And I had that wall when I decided to move back from Australia back to Thailand. And the money, the pay, the salary are never to compare. Never. You will never be able to earn that much money in Thailand. Also, the cost of living is lower. But then that was like actually when I really, really took all the responsibilities in my life, to be honest. That was when I stood up for myself, and I actually told myself that I'm not going to lower my standards of living. I'm not going to lower whatever, however, and whenever, wherever I want to live or go. So therefore, this is my life. I'm going to create it. That was actually in 2013.
It'd take a lot of courage, from my understanding, a real dream job and an aspirational mountain to climb, and then jumping from that mountain into the great unknown. Fair to say.
Yes, I was in my
Mm.
comfort zone for a very long time, and it's like it's like you're in that little gray area that it's okay because it's not black, and it's kind of not okay because it's not white, but you're in the gray area and you're kind of comfortable, and then all of a sudden it's like you have to choose. It's either you want it to be in the light or you want it to be in the dark. And the only person that could actually take you out or take you in would only be you. And right at that moment, it was a lot of pressure, to be honest. Like I believe that everybody that has gone through any sort of obstacle in their life has gone through that pressure before, even though we probably have a different model of looking at pressure, but still I have gone through that emotional change, and my family had to bear onto it as well, because when something happens to you, it's not just about you, it's about everybody that's around you as well. And when you're stressed, it's also about everybody around you. It's your ecology, it's your environment that actually takes the blame for it as well. So it's either you take control and you blame it on yourself and you start to change it. Not like blaming as in, I'm not saying that you're blaming yourself that you're wrong and you're the person that creates this failure, but it's you taking control that you're the only person that makes everybody around you sad or happy.
And not necessarily a super popular way of thinking, taking responsibility. I'm gathering from what you're saying and from what I know of you, you're a fan of that. It's not always easy though, is it?
No. It's like we chose the hard path. It's never easy to be different. So if you want to be somebody different, you want to take control of your own life. You want to be able to schedule your own schedule. You want to work your own time. You want to be happy the way you are. It's never easy. I'm not saying this to discourage anybody, but to encourage you to know that it's a path. It's only a path. And you only choose a path with thorns, or you choose a path that's already laid out. The path that's already laid out is always clearer, nicer. Everybody walk through that path, but then do you really want to be like everybody? Like, do you want to be the everybody that everybody is? Or you want to be somebody different?
Yeah, and follow
Yeah,
your heart is definitely echoing through what you're saying without sounding corny.
it does sound corny. It's a cliche that everybody says follow your heart, but there's a process to it as well. And I know that your profession is actually based on that process.
Were you aware of the unconscious mind prior to this study? Are there any kind of concepts growing up that gave you an inkling that there is that deeper side of you that you can connect with and work with?
Yes, there was. I look at awareness in a very detailed way. Like a lot of people would look at awareness as enlightening or the light within you, but then I look at awareness in a very small chunk size, very detailed. There were times that we actually resist everything around the world. Like I've been a teenager before, and everything outside is wrong. Is it's never about me, it's all about everybody else. It's about everybody making me mad, everybody making me angry, everybody making me sad, and also everybody making me happy as well. So I've never been in my body. I've never been home, to say. So there are times that I thought that maybe we weren't meant to live. We weren't meant to create. We were just meant to be here to make sure the world has some people and make sure that life goes on. And then right after that moment, it's the enlightening moment as well that says, maybe it's not. Maybe it's all about everything that's inside. And that was a moment that I started to learn of my own feelings and to be associated into my body again. And to realize that I have a lot of things that are wrong, a lot of things that are right, a lot of things that are dark, a lot of things that are nice. And once I'm aware of all of my attributes, to say, it's positive and negative, and the moment that I accept it, well, you can't really accept anything if you're not aware of it. So that was a moment that I started to accept myself, because I'm aware of every single tiny bit of how I feel and what I think. So I might have the worst thought, like, I really want to kill this person. But still, like, sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know there's crazy traffic over there in Bangkok, right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. You can never imagine. If you can drive in Bangkok, you can drive in anywhere in the world. Anyways, I really thought of myself as being, at that time, evil, because I hear a lot of my thoughts that are negative rather than positive. And emotional wise, it changes every 2 seconds. It's like, really, am I really this bad? And then once I'm aware of all of it, then it's my decision again to accept it or to reject it. And there's always, if I reject it, it's a resistant type of energy. It's like when you try to reject your problem in your life and you know that it's still there. Yeah. So that was the first moment that I thought, yeah, maybe I need to be aware of the wrong note in my music, and or else I'm actually playing the same song over and over again, and it's always going to be wrong until I find that little bit of the wrong key, the wrong note, and be aware of it and start to change it.
Yeah, and that certainly goes back to personal responsibility as well, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
they
definitely.
in a lot of ways they piggyback off each other, or they're like conjoined twins, right?
Yeah, like you can't really do anything without responsibility, to be honest, to me, for me, because everything in your world would depend on your responsibility towards it.
I'm curious, and if you had a story about how personal boundaries have played in your life, and how that's changed your life. Again, being aware of those and being able to enforce them.
In this journey, there were many times that I allowed myself to be crossed over, as in other people crossing over my boundaries, and I crossed over others, and it was not pleasant, to be honest. It's every time that anybody crosses my boundary, it gives me a heartache, to be honest. It's like, it feels like I'm doing this because somebody said I'm supposed to, or I'm doing this because there's other types of limiting decisions or beliefs that I have that I need to allow some person to walk on me. And it really feels worthless. It feels like it could be something really small and something really big. Like, I have a friend that I like, and we're good friends, but she would cross over my boundaries. Like, she would force me into places or events that I don't want to go. But then she's also helped me a lot, assisted me in growing through my own path a lot. So it's like, oh, she's done a lot for me, I need to do this for her. When after everything happened, it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't, like, I'm walking my own path. And at one point she crossed my path and she helped me out with a lot of things. And it's a big thank you for her, but it doesn't mean that I owe her my life. And I'm pretty sure, working with clients and a lot of students as well, I'm pretty sure that everybody has gone through that moment and that one friend, the person that you've actually allowed them to owe your life.
Again, like you said, limiting decisions. Like a lot of the times, I see a common theme with people letting others violate their boundaries, and it can often just be to do with not liking confrontation as well. You can be assertive and be non-confrontational, so it's a bit of a paradox, right?
Yeah, exactly. Knowing the language of the mind actually helps you do that. You know how to soften any type of frames that you're actually presenting as well. Also, like, it is one thing of boundaries is knowing how to say no in a very nice tone, and it's not even the word appropriate, but it's the word, you say it the way you really mean it, and it's honest enough but soft enough at the same time.
And I guess, yeah, like you said, knowing the language of the mind, that is where, if I think back to a time in my life when I didn't have those linguistic skills, let's call them, and the sensory acuity to calibrate who I'm speaking with, that also would have been, it's definitely a lot trickier and let alone a bunch of negative emotions. I was working with a client just recently that they didn't want to enforce their boundaries because of fear. We were just about to. I said, well, luckily we're going to do fear next session, so it's going to be a lot easier to assert your boundaries.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Well, I would say boundary is something that's really big because to me, if you want your goals, you need to know how to say no. And it's not about people only. It's about the task that you want to do. It's like, you want to do this, but it's not going to lead you to your goals. Are you still going to do it? That's also being very, very strong on your boundaries, as well as you're saying no to yourself as well, not just others. And it's the behavior that you choose. It's everything. Boundary is almost everything. We have boundaries to our body. It's the skin. And we have boundaries to our minds as well. We have boundaries to our space, our house, our homes. Like if we're not enforcing our own boundaries, nobody's going to do it for us. Yeah, and like, talking about that you said, you thought of the time that you didn't have all these tools. I was thinking, when I was younger, working and not having these tools, I was like a bipolar, seriously.
Difficult,
Like
right?
with the people that, yeah, like with the people that I really don't care, I'm so like I confront them like a beast. And then with the people that I kind of like, or I have bias towards them, well, accept it. It's normal that you have bias towards some people. And I'm just so soft. I'm just so mushy. I'm just like, okay, I'll let it pass. And that's not right.
We can't blame others for pushing boundaries because human beings are wired that way.
But also, not saying that you have to say no to everything. It's your boundary as well, that you kind of have the boundary that you show others. You have the boundary that you enforce for yourself, and there's a little area in between that you can accept the all everything else that might not. Well, it might not be so assertive, and it also might not be so giving as well.
It's a bit of a flexible zone, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
key.
That's the right word. Yeah, being like really flexible in that area. But then again, it's not for everybody. It's like okay, I'm gonna be very controversial right here. I'm gonna say
Oh, we got a scoop.
it's like like if I'm thinking of people who are monogamy and polygamy, they have their own boundaries, and it might not be the boundaries of others. Like I've had a client that is a polygamy, and he actually signed a contract with his wife that it's gonna stay this way, whereas his wife is not. She's monogamy. So everything in between their gray zone is everything to be flexible with, but not really strong on both of their boundaries.
When you say contract, it's just so stating that, look, this is the way things are going to be. It's not going to
Yes,
change.
yes, it's a written contract.
Wow.
It's like, wow,
Wow.
yeah, it was amazing. It was like fascinating looking at them and knowing that both of them feel like their boundaries are crossed.
Yeah, they're coming from completely opposite ends. Are they finding middle ground? I mean, when the contract, as I hear that, I'm thinking that sounds potentially like middle ground, but it also sounds a bit spiky.
Yeah, I like really. I know. Yeah, it's like when you're a coach or when you're actually working with them, you can't really you're not judging them, to say. It's not like you can't, but you're not judging them. Yeah,
You're respecting their model of the world, right?
exactly. And they have so much difference, but they've actually signed the contract to be together.
Wow.
Yeah. So to say the boundary that the wife has is a different boundary than the husband. But also there's that little gray zone that one day one person might feel a bit crossed over and the other person the other day. It's like their area is very small.
That's right. Take a lot of negotiation to find that middle ground, and it's rather dynamic as well.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yeah, and again, that's commonly I see that person to person, context to context, boundaries do change, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's fun looking at it. Also, you kind of have to know your boundaries as well. This was a case that I had to really think hard whether I wanted to take or not, because I have my own boundaries towards these ideas as well.
You teach classes in Thai in Bangkok, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do NLP practitioner training, master practitioner, as well as hypnosis, timeline therapy, and coaching in Thai. Everything certified in Thai. And we're actually hoping that throughout next year, throughout 2020, we're going to be able to create a body that could, say, if we could create a body or an association that would register up as NLP as to say corporate coaching, because it's kind of different in legal wise in Thailand how we could do things, and we hope that coaching can be a product that you can claim your insurance on in Thailand. That's my goal for next year. Also, there will be a retreat for everybody that speaks English who would like to spend a week down the beach doing their own NLP stuff. There will be a retreat coming in the second trimester of next year.
And have you set the dates at this stage, or it's more so in that specific quarter of the year?
Yeah, it's gonna be before June or
Mm-hmm.
even in June.
Mm-hmm.
It's not specific yet, but
Okay.
definitely we'll be down the beach and it's gonna be 7 days.
Beautiful. So we'll make sure that we include all that information in the show notes. And of course, with you'll provide website and events page of where that information will be updated, so all the listeners can get that
Great. Yeah, welcome to
and come
Thailand.
visit you.
Yeah, welcome to Thailand.
I'm aware that there's a point of difference in your trainings. Tell me about that, because I got chatting to you last time I saw you in Sydney, but it sounded fantastic. I'm just really curious to hear a bit more about your point of difference with your trainings.
So my trainings are aimed for people who want to be influential or who are influential. So we're aiming to change this way of living and being more assertive on your goals and results. So my clients or my students are mostly business owners and influential people. So my trainings are designed in a way that their unconscious mind can just forget about their bodies. So they're well fed, like we have every meal provided. And the place is a 5-star hotel, like every time it's a 5-star hotel. So even the meals are 5-course sit down serving setting. And they can just forget about every uncomfortable thing and pay only their attention to whatever they want to learn and the processes that they want to do, and be certified as one person that could let go of a lot of things and focus. Focus is the main thing.
Marissa, tell me, if people want to find out more about what you do and how they can be a part of your trainings and your world, where can they find you?
So for ties, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have it's called Line. That's one way of communicating that we use a lot in Thailand. You can search Life Lab and Life Lab Training, as in Life Lab. So we're in a lab right now.
In a laboratory, right?
Yes. So we're actually testing things out. So it's like everybody's testing things out. And we're testing for the best thing that we could be and we have. So you can search for Life Lab. If anybody for English speakers, you can email us at info@lifelab.co.th.
So it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you, Marissa, and I look forward to seeing you again face to face. I'm gathering that'll probably be in Sydney for the next Trainer's Trainer.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best for wrapping up the training season. People wanting to take their life to the next level, anything that you'd send out to them?
I'd say I have one belief that's a very, very strong belief, is that if I see anything good in other people, that's actually in me as well. And anything that I've experienced once, I can do it. I can model it. I can do it right then. And I believe that everybody has this as well. So if you're seeing anything, anybody, any sort of lifestyle, any sort of career path or anything that you like or you want to be, you actually have the ability, you have the resources to be that person as well, as long as you're aware of what you're feeling towards that person. If it's like you admire them and you feel like you want to be one like them, then you're actually modeling them in that instant. And it's like I'm very honored to be talking to you today, Matthew, and you've opened up such a big door for me in terms of doing podcasts, and it's something that everybody does, but then I haven't got started yet, and you've just got me started in here. It's fun, and you've been an inspiration in my journey as well.
Thank you so much. Well, no, this is really about the audience getting to know you, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit more too. So yeah, and right back at you, Marissa. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Marissa Sireesorn. The Power of Practice podcast, website, Instagram, Facebook, all Matthew Tweedy Hypnosis. Keep growing and evolving, and we'll see you next time.